Dom from BlackToad Studios, and today got my word bearers facing Daryl's Death Guard and Chaos Demons. So let's run through what I am bringing today. So we've got a combined arms detachment, which is over here. We've got two 6-man squads with a plasma gun in each. The champion there's got a plasma pistol, this champion's got nothing. We have both mounted in rhinos with havoc launchers. Going back here, we've got the HQ element. We've got a level 3 Demon Prince, Mark of Nurgle with wings and a spell familiar. We have got a Sakaran here with heavy bolter sponsons. Back here we have got a Mauler Fiend with magma cutters. So that's a combined arms element of the army. Moving across, we have got the Raptor Talon formation, I believe. And we've got two squads of Raptors with two melter guns in each. Back here we have got a squad of Warp Talons, Mark of Slaanesh. We've got a Chaos Lord here. We've got the Vulture, the first game for the Vulture, so we will see what happens here. We're armed with the Corrupted Crozius, a plasma pistol, Mark of Slaanesh, and a Sigil of Corruption. And finally we have got two Helldrakes. Helldrake Terror pack there. So that is my army. We've got the Warlord trait, which generates one, turns my Warlord, who's the Vulture in this case, gains the Psyker level 1 ability, and he can pick from Demology. So it's going to be quite interesting here. So let's have a look to see what Daryl is bringing in this army. Here we are with Daryl's Death Guard and Chaos Demon army here. So if we start from the right, Daryl, do you want to go through what you've got here and what detachments and formations you're bringing?
Absolutely. So we have here the Plague Colony.
Yep.
So that's 3 Plague Marine squads with the Warlords being Typhus in the middle.
Very nice.
So each Plague Marine squad has a plasma gun.
Yep.
And the 2 at the front have champions with power swords and bolt pistols.
Very nice.
Attached to the ones at the front are 2 Chaos Sorcerers.
Yep,
so the one you can see there has a Power Sword and a Combi Flamer.
Yep.
There's also Mastery level 3.
Mm-hmm.
And the one over here has a Plasma Pistol and 4 stuff, and again it's Mastery level 3.
Very nice.
So at the back there we have the final Plague Marine squad that makes the 3. The banner isn't standing for anything today, it's just a little fancy banner, and they're the ones in the Rhino.
Okay. Right, very nice.
And then at the back we've got a Nurgle Demon Prince.
Yep.
He's kitted up quite heavily, so he's got the wings, the black mace, armour, and also mastery level 3.
Very nice. Very nice.
And then finally we've got some Chaos Spawn there, just 3 Chaos Spawn. And that gives me there the Death Guard Vectorian, which gives me some interesting little rules, so
right.
I'll explain those as I go through.
Very nice, Daryl. And then over on this side of the army.
So this is my little allied force of Nurgle Demons.
Yep.
At the front I've got 15 Plague Bearers, and then a unit of Nurglings at the back, just one unit of 4 Nurglings.
Very nice.
And then the HQ there is a Great Unclean one, the only upgrade being Mastery level 3.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful force here. Lots of psychic powers, as we can see. So let's have a look at the battlefield and deployment. Right, so today we're doing a custom mission. The mission is to seize the structures, and we have 5 structures on this battlefield here. We got 1, 2 at this end. We have 1 in the middle there, and we've got 1 on either end of the table there. Each of these are worth 2 points at the end of the battle. Also we're doing secondary, so Slay the Warlord, Line Breaker, and First Blood. We've deployed both armies here, so we'll start over here with the word bearers. We've got the Mauler Fiend in this building here, looking across the battlefield at the Death Guard who've dug themselves in over there. We have the Sakaran in the centre with the Rhino. Moving along here, we have got the Demon Prince, and we have another Rhino over on this flank here. So, opposing them, the Death Guard positions are, we have the Demon Prince in this building here. We have got a squad of Plague Marines up in this building here, looking very camouflaged actually on this particular battlefield with their colours. Over here we've got Typhus in a squad of Plague Bearers. A very cunning move there by Daryl. In the centre we have the Nurglings infiltrating. We have got another squad of Death Guard in the Rhino there, lurking over there, able to manoeuvre quite nicely across the battlefield. And over here we have got another squad of Death Guard in that building there. Oh, and finally here we've got the squad of Spawn camouflaged into the jungle here. So that is everything on the board. Everything else is in reserve for both sides, which I'm sure will be deploying very quickly and rapidly onto the battlefield as we go on. So currently, Plague Marines, the Death Guard will be going first. It is night fighting, and let's see if the Word Bearers can seize. They cannot. So over to turn 1 for Death Guard. Turn 1 movement for the forces of Nurgle, and in the centre here the Rhino has shot across, taking cover in the centre to reinforce the Nurglings. Also they're joined by the Spawn here who have run through and they're attempting to hold the middle. The middle is going to be a key point, I believe, in this battle, but we will see as the battle progresses. Over here Typhus is slowly moving forwards with his entourage towards the Word Bearer lines. Pretty confident he's going to be safe for a while there. And finally, the only other movement we had is over here. We've got the Demon Prince. He is currently hopping across the battlefield. He's quite confident once again that with his 2-up Jink, he's going to be able to survive any firepower that comes in here. So that is movement for Chaos, for the Nurgle powers. Let's move on to Psychic and Shooting, turn 1. One Psychic and Shooting for the Death Guard, and well, this squad here got Gift of the Leper off, so they've got +1 strength, +1 toughness for a turn, which is going to be quite nice up in this building, make them quite solid for defence. The Sorcerer here also cast down Gift of Contagion onto the Mauler Fiend, preventing it from running for a turn at -1 from its strength. So as I say, there we got Gift of the Leper there. And finally we have the same onto this squad over here holding this building, and that was pretty much it for Psychic, as most of the Word Bearers are still mounted up in their tanks, or not on the battlefield. They're not able to do that much damage. Also we have Plasma Fire coming in from this Rhino over towards the Word Bearer Rhino, and we had Plasma Fire as well from up here down onto the Mauler Fiend. So that was it for turn 1 for the Death Guard. We are going to move on to turn 1 for the Word Bearers and see what they can do. One movement for the Word Bearers, and over here on the flank this Rhino has reversed slightly, very cautious of the Demon Prince which is lurking on the other side of the foliage there. The Word Bearer Demon Prince has gone into flight mode and flown over the building there, casting an eye across the battlefield, ready to pick on a target. This Rhino here has gone over the crater. He's fine so far, he's not immobilised himself, and has positioned himself on the centre. Over here, the Sakaran once again has also come over the crater there, lining up a shot down the field towards that Demon Prince there. And finally, this Mauler Fiend has gone crashing through the ruin, heading towards the centre. The centre is going to be a key point here. It's going to get bloody and brutal. So we're going to move on to turn 1 Psychic and Shooting for Word Bearers and see if they can have a bit of luck on their side. One Psychic and Shooting for the Word Bearers, and in the Psychic phase the Demon Prince here attempted to summon some demons. He got 666 and perils, although he rolled a 6 on the perils, empowering himself for a turn, which was quite nice. And we summoned some demons over here, There was a bit of a dangerous terrain check, so one passed away unfortunately, and then in the shooting phase they ran towards the Nurgle demons there to try and slow them down on perhaps what's going to be a suicide mission. Also the Sakaran in the shooting phase fired the accelerator autocannons over here, knocking a wound off the Demon Prince. It was also followed by heavy bolter shots, but the heavy bolters were unable to do anything as he was jinking all the shots. And that was pretty much it for the shooting phase. Not a great deal of stuff happened. It's quite a slow first turn, as you would expect from these two armies, but hopefully in turn 2 for the Death Guard it's going to heat up a little bit. Turn 2 movement for the forces of Nurgle, with the Spawn squad here and the Plague Bearers of Typhus have gone charging in towards the Bloodletters there, hoping to, of course, to get first blood. Over on the flank here, the Demon Prince carrying on his agenda and heading towards that Rhino there to smash it and destroy the contents, no doubt. And finally over here we've got the Rhino that's pushed forwards here towards that Rhino there, but is very dangerously close to the Mauler thing there. Daryl was hoping to get the Great Unclean One. Unfortunately for Daryl there, the Dice Gods are somewhat against him at the start of turn 2. So we're going to move on to Psychic and Shooting for the forces of Nurgle, and hopefully for Daryl's sake the Dice Gods will welcome him back with loving arms. And to Psychic and Shooting for the forces of Nurgle, and really the only thing to report, and it's kind of stretching it there, we had a Plague Wind come off from Typhus there into the Bloodletters. It scattered back slightly, killing one Bloodletter, and really that was it for Psychic and Shooting. We had a bit of sporadic fire from the squad of Death Guard in this building up towards the flying Demon Prince there. The Demon Prince over here in Psychic tried to regain a wound. Unfortunately, the ability didn't go off there. Moving across the battlefield here, we had a plasma gun on board the Rhino, rapid firing into the Mauler thing. Both hit, but unfortunately wasn't able to penetrate. And the plasma gun up here as well. He fired down towards the Mauler thing there, and his plasma got hot, but of course he survived, as we can see there. But the damage isn't going to come from Psychic or Shooting for Nurgle this turn. It's going to come from Assault. And so we're going to move on to turn 2 Assault for Nurgle. Of turn 2 Assault for the forces of Nurgle. The Spawn, the Plague Bearers charged in, the Spawn doing most of the damage and killed the majority of the Bloodletters, and Typhus and the Plague Bearers killed the remaining, although the Bloodletters did cause one wound on the Spawn there. Over on the flank, the Demon Prince charged in, wrecking the Rhino, and the guys disembarked there. So that is what happened in turn 2 Assault. Pretty nasty stuff. We kind of saw it coming that the forces of Nurgle do more in combat than they did in Shooting or Psychic. So we're going to move on now to turn 2 for the Word Bearers and see if some of the reserves are coming on. Turn 2 movement for the Word Bearers, and this squad of Raptors have arrived from Deep Strike. The rest of the formation unfortunately hasn't turned up, although the Raptors were joined here by both of the Helldrakes, have both flown on. They are going to be lighting up the forces of Nurgle, which are currently occupying this structure. The Mauler Fiend as well has clambered over the fence and heading into the melee. Moving across the battlefield, we have the Demon Prince down here. He's flown over. He's going to be trying to cast some things in the backfield for the Nurgle forces to worry about. Moving over here, we have got the squad of Chaos Marines, which were disembarked, shall we say, from their Rhino in the previous turn, now facing off against the Demon Prince of Nurgle. Moving across, we have another squad of Chaos Marines, and the Rhino tried to move off of the crater. Unfortunately though, he mobilised himself there on the debris, and this squad have disembarked, forcing their hand. They've come out of the Rhino, and they're going to be putting some shots in as well. Finally, the Sakaran has realigned himself to fire shots from the accelerator autocannon over towards the Demon Prince again, hoping to do a bit more damage and making it a bit more dealable for the Wordbearer forces. So that is it for movement. I'm going to move on to Psychic and Shooting, turn 2 Wordbearers. Turn 2 Psychic and Shooting for the Wordbearers, and over here both Helldrakes sent flames in to both squads. So we took 2 bases of Nurglings off, and we did 2 wounds to the spawn there. So a bit of damage, not as much as we're hoping. The Wordbearers used their Demon Forge, and unfortunately this Helldrake here lost a hull point. Moving across the battle, these Raptors fired melters and bolt pistols into that squad there. Nothing happened, unfortunately. We're going to try and assault as well. Thanks to the formation for the Raptors, they're able to assault from deep strike, even though it is disordered. It could do something. Demon Prince here tried to cast Psychic Shriek onto the squad up here. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get it off. It was denied. And also tried Weapons Virus as well. That didn't go off, unfortunately, but he did summon a squad of Bloodletters who then decided to run in the shooting phase, and they're going to take this building from the Plague forces. Elsewhere over here, this squad fired in, causing 1 wound, no 2 wounds I believe, onto the Demon Prince. The Demon Prince was then hit again by the accelerator autocannon from the Sakaran, who took him down to 1 wound. Daryl was looking very nervous now.
Oh yes.
As the Demon Prince is teetering on the edge. And finally, the only other shooting we had was the plasma gun here. He rapid fired into the Rhino, causing 1 hull point, and next turn it's only able to snap shoot and move. So we're going to move on to Assault for Wordbearers turn 2 and see if we can thin the Nurgle herd a little bit more. End of turn 2 Assault for the Wordbearers, and the Maulifing charged into the spawn, killing 2 off, leaving that one with 3 wounds. It's fearless, it's not going anywhere, so they're locked up for now. And finally, the only other thing to note was this Helldrake. It will not die. He regained a hull point there. So that is it for Wordbearers in this turn 2. We'll move on to turn 3 for the forces of Nurgle, and I'm pretty sure the Great Unclean One is going to be making an appearance. And free movement for the forces of Nurgle, and the Rhino, which was there, has now come across here. The guys have disembarked. They're lining up plasma shots onto the Sakaran there to try and aid the Demon Prince. Talking about the Demon Prince, moving along here, the Demon Prince has jumped over. He is now looking at the side of these Chaos Marines, hoping to take them out. Although he is on 1 wound, so it's quite delicate at the moment. Over towards the centre, we have Typhus. He is broken away from the Plague Bearers and heading down here, down through the middle. There's an abundance of targets down here. We've got Chaos Marines there, Rhino, Chaos Marines, and the Sakaran currently there. The Nurglings have scurried across the building. We'll see if they attempt an assault onto the Rhino, possibly. As I said, the Plague Bearers over here, though, they have broken away and they are heading towards the Maulifing to aid the remaining spawn in its attempt to survive. But that is it. We are going to move on to turn 3 Psychic and Shooting for the forces of Nurgle and see what they can do. Turn 3 Psychic and Shooting for the forces of Nurgle, and this squad here, they cast down Plague Wind into the Bloodletters here. Then it was followed by bolter shots in the shooting phase, and the squad has now been reduced to a feeble 4. Over here, The Demon Prince got off Fleshy Abundance and regained 1 wound here. He did perils at the time, but he had a feel no pain as well, and he kept his wound there, so he's now on 2 wounds. Moving across the battlefield, we had a bit of sporadic fire from the squad up here. They fired into the Helldrake, hoping to do a bit of damage to one of them to prevent another Inferno engulfing the Nurgle forces. And finally, the only other thing we had was down here. The squad of Plague Marines fired into the Chaos Marines here, killing off half the squad, taking out the champion and the plasma gun, leaving these 3 that have gone to ground in the crater. So that is it. We're going to move on to Assault, turn 3. Free assault for the forces of Nurgle. The Demon Prince charged in and absolutely butchered the Chaos Marines there. So he is currently holding this corner over here quite happily. Over here, the fight continues. The Spawn is now on 1 wound after taking a barrage of hits from the Mauler Fiend, leaving him just on 1 wound there. So that is it for turn 3 for the forces of Nurgle. It's looking pretty solid at the moment for the Nurgle forces. They're all over the battlefield. They're taking word bearers down left, right and centre. Hopefully the Vulture can turn up for the word bearers. Turn 3 movement for the word bearers, and still the Vulture and the Warp Talons and the Raptors haven't turned up. So we will have to deal without them for now. Over here the Sicaran is pushed forward slightly, really to get away from this squad here, but also to push forward towards the Demon Prince there, hoping to rip the last 2 wounds out, but it's kind of optimistic at the moment. This squad here are going to hold the ground, put some bolter shots in there. Both Helldrakes have gone down into hover mode now. This one facing off against the squad of Plague Marines holding this building. This one here is going to put a bit of supporting fire into the Plague Bearers. The squad of Raptors here have jumped across and hoping to engage this squad. The Demon Prince has come down into swooping mode, and the Bloodlets here have come into the terrain and hoping to get in combat there with the Plague Marines. So that is movement. Let's see if we can cause a bit more damage in psychic and shooting. Turn 3 psychic and shooting. These guys here, they being gone to ground, they've put some snapfire shots into the Plague Marines, did nothing. The Sicaran, we were hoping for some decent shots coming off. Unfortunately though, we did not get that, and the Demon Prince is still there. He's very unhappy with the Sicaran, and he's getting very close to him as well, so hopefully, for the word bearer's sake, he's going to be fumbling around next turn, not able to do anything. Moving along, we've got the Helldrakes here. This Helldrake set this squad alight, killing the majority, leaving the Plasma Gun and the Sorcerer untouched. Because of Death Guard, they are fearless, so they will not be going anywhere. They're a bit too stubborn for their own good. Over here, the Helldrake here set 8 more alight. Quite a few survived, but we did some damage. The Raptors also put bolt pistols and melter guns in, killing a couple more. And that was pretty much it for shooting. In a psychic phase, the Demon Prince here tried to cast Psychic Shriek. Once again, the Sorcerer denied it. Tried Weapons Virus, it didn't go off. And we did summon, although we tried to summon here, they scattered, they landed there, they've gone into ongoing reserve, so that's not the end of the world there. We're going to move on now to turn 3 Assault for the Word Bearers, and hopefully these guys, we had a charge in there and slay some of the Plague Bearers. Assault for the Word Bearers, and a squad of Bloodletters here charged into the building here. Unfortunately though, the Gods of Chaos are fickle and they were cut down, only taking out one of the Plague Marines there. The Blood Reaper in the squad challenged the Champion. Champion slayed him and got himself a boon, so he got a +1 to his armor, so it's 2 up save on that Plague Marine there. Moving over here, the Raptors charged in, killing off a couple of the Plague Bearers. Unfortunately, one of the Raptors were killed as well. The Plague Bearers passed their demonic instability test. And finally, the spawn has been destroyed. And the Mauler Fiend is now off looking for another target. And that is it for turn 3 for the Word Bearers. Let's move on to turn 4 for the forces of Nurgle. For movement for the forces of Nurgle, and the Great Unclean One has appeared now automatically, and he's behind the Raptors and the Plague Bearers there, probably going to aid his little brothers against the Raptors. Across the battlefield here, we see the Demon Prince is charging now towards Sakarian, very close there. And the Plague Marines here are filing out. Although we are going to do a roll on camera here, because we have got the Rhino here. Come back, and Daryl is ramming the Mauler Fiend there. So what we do here, in case you're unfamiliar with ramming, is you take half of the armor value and round it up, so it will be strength 6, and then because it's a tank, it's strength 7. So Daryl, you get an automatic hit.
I do indeed.
Armor 12, you need a 5+ here.
Oh,
no, unfortunately not. And because he's a walker, in the following assault phase, which is coming up, the walker will get hit against the Rhino. So could have paid off, unfortunately not. And we'll find out what happens next. And for psychic and shooting for Nurgle, and it's been a mixed bag. So this guy came off, he cast off an ability, I can't remember the name, but it's a toughness test on everything in a 12-inch bubble, I think.
Rancid Visitation.
That's the one, and basically lost 1 Raptor, 2 of the Plague Bearers, and that was it. Over here, the Plague Marines have shot into Jinking Demon Prince, taking 2 wounds off of him. They have also got the, what ability is that with the poison 2+?
Oh, yes, Blaze of Putrefaction went off.
That's the one. So these guys have now got 2+ poison. They're also relentless, so they can actually assault into the Demon Prince's turn. And that was it this turn for psychic and shooting. We're going to move on to, oh no, finally one last thing. Over here we have got the Plague Marines that have been a bane in the backfield for the Word Bearers, and they have killed 1 more, causing the squad to flee. They've fallen back there. Hopefully they'll be able to rally next turn. But that is it. We're going to move on to Assault for turn 4 for the forces of Nurgle to see what happens. For Assault for the forces of Nurgle, and this squad of Plague Marines with a Sorcerer came down. They hit hard, they took 1 wound off the Demon Prince, although the Demon Prince of course took out the Champion and the Sorcerer. They are being fearless, they are holding their ground. Moving over here, Typhus charged in, killed off 2 of the Raptors. The Raptors fought back and killed another Plague Bearer off, and they're holding on just about there. Moving across once again, the Mauler Fiend hit back against the Rhino, who had the audacity to ram it. He is then followed up, consolidated out towards the back line to go and reinforce what's going on, although the back line has pretty much fallen as the Plague Marines came swooping in. That's not often said about Plague Marines, but they came swooping in and killed off the fleeing Chaos Space Marines. And finally, the Demon Prince here charged in and wrecked the Sakarian there. So pretty devastating for the forces of Nurgle there. We're going to move on to turn 4 for the Word Bearers. Turn 4 for the Word Bearers, and in the movement phase here, these guys arrived from reserve. They are currently sitting there, hoping to put some shots up towards those Plague Marines there. The Helldrake there is able to support them. The Mauler Fiend though has turned around. He's come back to aid the remaining Raptor and hopefully stand a chance there against Typhus and the Plague bearers. Also, down here, the Vulture has arrived with his bodyguard squad of Warp Talons there, and they will be charging into these Plague Marines. This Helldrake has come back into flight mode, and he's going to set this Demon Prince alight, hopefully. What else have we done? The movement phase of this squad of Bloodletters that were in ongoing reserve and now come in here. Hopefully we'll be able to get onto that objective there. But that is it for movement. We're going to move on to Psychic and see if the Demon Prince and the Vulture are able to do any summoning. Psychic and shooting turn 4 for the Word Bearers, and this squad here, they're going to ram the half in, half out of this building here, holding it. The Helldrake here flamed the Demon Prince, although he did pass his demon save. Over here in the Psychic phase, we got off Cursed Earth, so he has got a 4-up invulnerable on the Warp Talons. We also tried to summon, unfortunately we didn't get that off, so never mind on that one. Also in the shooting phase, over here, the Helldrake flamed in here, causing 1 wound on the Sorcerer and killing the Plasma guy there. The Raptors also fired up and were unable to do anything, so we'll try an assault and see what happens there. So we're going to move on to turn 4 assault for the Word Bearers, and hopefully we can cut back the Nurgle. End of turn 4 assault for the Word Bearers, and this squad charged into combat. The Vulture issued a challenge and quickly cut down the Plague Marine champion who stepped up. The Plague Marines though fought on and killed 2 of the Warp Talons there. So it was a close run thing. It's a draw in combat though because of the fearless on the leader there. So we're just holding our ground there, moving across. The Raptors here charged up the building and killed off the Sorcerer, which was holding the top, so they're holding this building currently. Moving over to the centre here, the Maul Fiend charged in and cut down a lot of Plague Bearers. Old Typhus cut down the remaining Raptor. These 2 are now locked in combat. It's nasty, nasty stuff. And finally over here, the fight continues. The Demon Prince is still battling against the remaining Plague Marine there after killing off the remains of his squad. So that is it. It's quite tight at the moment. We're going to move on to turn 5 for the Death Guard to see what they can do. Turn 5 movement for the Death Guard, and the Demon Prince here is leapt over. He's eyeing up the Vulture. He wants to get in there and kill the Warlord of the Word Bearers there. Nasty, nasty Demon Prince. Over here, the Great Unclean One here is shuffled through. He's going into aid Typhus against the Maul Fiend. The Maul Fiend is a massive threat here for Typhus, as he is toughness 5 against strength 10. It's going to be horrible. So that is it for movement. We're going to move on to Psychic and shooting for the Death Guard. I'm sorry, the Nurgle forces, and see if they can cut back the Word Bearers even more. Five Psychic and shooting for the powers of Nurgle. And Daryl, do you want to run through what you've done here?
Because it was very short, because everything's pretty much locked in combat. The Great Unclean One cast Miasma of Pestilence, which means that at the start of the fight sub phase we roll D3, and any enemy unit in close combat with the Great Unclean One takes a hit on their weapon skill and initiative based on that. And then the Demon Prince rolled Gift of Contagion on Dom's Warlord squad and the Warp Talons, and we rolled 5, so they get -1 strength and toughness for a turn.
Not good, not good at all. So we are going to move on to Assault now, and let's see if your psychic powers are going to help you, Daryl. right at the end of turn 5 for the Death Guard. The Demon Prince charged in here, challenged the Warp Talon champion, answered the challenge. Unfortunately, he was cut down quite quickly, although the demon saves prevented the follow-up damage from killing off the Warlord, although the remaining Raptors did fall. The Warlord then killed 2 more of the Plague Marines. And finally, over here, Typhus has fallen, and the Plague Bearer as well. They both fell to the Mauler Fiend, and it's ripped them both apart. And over on the corner there, the Demon Prince killed off the last Plague Marine. So with those losses, the Death Guard, Daryl has called it a day. The losses are too much for him, and leaving only a few models left on the board. He's got his Demon Prince here, a couple of Plague Marines, he's got a couple of bases of Nurglings left, and he has got the Great Unclean one there, leaving his forces quite depleted. He's not able, unfortunately, to get onto the objectives, where clearly the Word Bearer forces are able to claim this one, claim that one, at least contest this one. This one is also going to be contested, although that would possibly be open to the Death Guard, and the Word Bearers have that one there. So Daryl's called it a day. It's been a very enjoyable game. I hope everyone's enjoyed watching it. Daryl, have you got a man of the match at all?
It's got to be that Demon Prince. It's just sheer stubbornness and refusal to die, and then regenerating runes from the fleshy abundance. I'm sure Dom would agree, he was a right pain in there.
Yeah, definitely a real pain, because he just came along. We got him down to 1 wound with the Scaran and fire, and gradually he's just regained his wounds again. And with the black base, he is devastating. Very nasty character. For myself, it's probably going to be between the Mauler Fiend, really for holding the centre, being pretty resilient, and yep, also the Vulture here. He came in, he did some damage, he survived a barrage of attacks from this formidable beast, and yeah, he's done well. I think seeing what he was able to take, him and the Demon Prince had a little nod, and both agreed enough's enough, and both forces are backed off here. So I hope you've all really enjoyed this battle. It's been a really fun one, kind of gone both ways really. It's really good stuff. So this is Dom from BlackToad Studios, and I'll see you next time.